Hello and welcome to Mobile Europe's Talking Telecoms. I'm Annie Turner, editor of Mobile Europe, and today we're going to be talking about analytics, AI and automation. With me to address this critical topic are our guest speaker, Jakub Votova. He's Director of Networks at O2 in the Czech Republic. And we also have Niall Byrne, who's Vice President of 5G Partnerships at Amdocs, and Anton Palagin, Data Product Manager at Amdocs. A very big welcome to you all. So let's just set the scene a little bit. As networks become more software driven, they generate greater amounts of data by orders of magnitude. With 5G, operators are facing increases of traffic of 5 to 10 times the current volumes, and this could increase by 100 times with the expected rise in connected entities in the form of virtual private networks, enterprise and edge networks, and perhaps by 1,000 times due to the rising number of connected devices. Clearly, the only way to operate this increasingly large and complex ecosystem is through AI-driven analytics, orchestration, and closed-loop assurance to meet the necessary performance and reliability parameters. Now, turning to you, it turns out that ABI research says less than 2% of data generated by businesses is stored, and less than 10% of that is analysed and applied. In other words, 98% of data produced is discarded. In contrast, service providers like Amazon or Google have invested heavily in AI to leverage the immense volumes of data that they generate. So why do you think that, by comparison, telcos have been slow to reap the benefits of AI?
I'm not sure that telcos have been slow to reap the benefits. One of the big challenges for telcos is they're coming from an evolution. They're coming from a 30-year, 20-year evolution of 1G networks to 2G to 3G to 4G, and now we've got massive new 5G opportunity that brings a lot of standardization, a lot of new standardization, and a lot of new AI strategies, and that's where the telcos are at this moment. The hyperscalers have had the advantage of managing large volumes of data and applying their AI metrics to understand consumer behavior, to understand all sorts of all that type of activity. And now the opportunity is for the telcos, who are going to receive mass amount of connectivity and the data, the operational data from all the new 5G devices that are going to hit the network, and plus they have to manage an old ecosystem, and the operational requirements of that old ecosystem. So between those two, let's say, technology, operational silo types scenarios, a new strategy has to evolve within the telcos to manage this type of evolving ecosystem and to take advantage of the AI machine learning opportunities that the large data analysis provides. And this is where the telcos are involved, and they are realizing and then now engaging on how to actually move this forward. And then that is, it's not so much that they're behind, it's they have a massive legacy to move forward, and they have to move forward in a very structured way just to ensure that they can manage their business and they can manage the opportunities that the new 5G networks are going to provide to their business. So that's where they're at, and that's where the movement has to happen now. And now is the opportune time, because everybody is moving towards a cloud hybrid, cloud full infrastructure, and this is going to bring the opportunities that the hyperscalers have realized within their native environments to date. So this is where the telcos now are going to start to take advantage of the learnings from the cloud environments that are existing with the large hyperscalers in their traditional business.
Well, that brings me to my next question. And Jakub, a key enabler of Amazon's success was the adoption of cloud infrastructure, because Amazon's founder and others were quick to understand that machine learning runs better in a cloud-native environment. And this, in turn, reduced the barrier to entry for millions of developers and from all kinds of companies and backgrounds. Do you think there are lessons that telcos can take from Amazon's adoption of cloud technology?
Sure there is. So if there is one thing we can take from the Amazon's amazing journey is that there is no massive scaling without the full automation end-to-end. So whenever you leave something behind, you leave something which depends on kind of manual step or the human interaction, you are not able to scale because you are blocking the whole process by that manual step. And this is something we will be really facing because with the upcoming technology challenges and the challenges that are coming with the 5G, whereas has been said that the 5G is bringing the growth in the element number in the orders of magnitude, the automation and the end-to-end automation will be really the crucial things for us in the telco industry to be able to continue and operate the network in quality, which is our primary goal. So knowing that.
So automation is the enabler of scale, and that's the critical element to step up to the 5G challenge for you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because if you grow number of elements, basically you can cover that by the processes we've been using so far. And I was referring that we are here with the legacy that we've been building the networks for decades from 2G, 3G, 4G. But the 5G is really coming with the number of elements and the number of technologies which we are not able to cover how we get used to. So we need to take the automation. We need to take the, let's say, technologies that will help us with the AI, with the machine learning to cover the part of that amazing job. And especially Amazon was first to come to market showing that kind of scale and that kind of automation can really work. And then they show us all how to do the things right.
Okay. And
maybe elaborate a bit more on this point. Just I really like that point, Jakub, and want to look on it from a bit different angle. If you take a look on the Google, Amazon, Microsoft history, they when they start building their cloud solutions, when they start building their networks, distributed environment, they decided to look on operational aspects from completely different point of view, rather than trying to replicate existing network administrator, existing network operations. They invented brand new practices like SRE, which are, where automation is in the core of the idea of SRE. So I guess this is one of lesson we need to take from them, how to leverage not only changes in the tooling, but also changing in the operational culture.
Sure, Anton. That's what I was trying to say. But as you know, they've started as a greenfield, so they got the really, really better position than we do with the legacy technologies. And do believe me, 2G has no automated interfaces. Exactly. It has no data sources that we can use for the closed loop. So, and this is the challenge which is ahead of us, to really be able to use the way how the Amazon is operating their network and their services, even to the legacy services we need to continue to support.
So on that critical subject of data, as far as I can see, key challenges that operators also have are access to relevant data in a timely manner and the ability to execute on that data, Jakub. So do you see that as a major issue for operators, or a major topic?
Exactly. If you can start to automate, you have to start with the data acquisition.
Okay.
You need to have the information coming from the network to be able to act, because you don't want to act blindly, just sending the commands out and there. You need to look at the digital image of the network first. And this is what the acquisition of the data is. That's our eyes. And you are right. And it has been said that these days we are half blind. We are processing just the part of the data. There are the technologies we are not having the data from. So this is the first step we really need to take to acquire the data from the network. But that's not all. So just having the data is not enough, because they are coming in different formats. They are coming with the different semantics. So you need to somehow consolidate them. And I am saying that there is the long journey from value to value. So the fact that you are extracting the value of some let's say, counter from the network is not enough. You need to create the real value in the use case that this counter can bring, to be able to see anomalies, to be able to see that something goes wrong, to be able to see that this particular information had negative impact on the end customer service, and to be able to react on that.
Could you just give us briefly an example of a use case?
We are at the start. We all know that even though we are talking about the zero-touch automation, we are still at the start of the journey. But we are able to build, or we've been able to build, some of the use cases mostly in the area of the customer care. So having the data, having the subscriber history, having the end user history, what happened to him in the network, and being able, whenever he is calling or complaining, to take that history and try to guess whether there was something wrong with the service, or better, try to guess whether it was something wrong. And if it was, to find a solution how to solve that, preferably automatically, is that holy grail we are all seeking for.
So really, being able to fix it before it breaks would be the best possible, before the customer notices, certainly is the aim.
Yeah, the proactivity is the key. We are quite satisfied with the use cases where we can act reactively, but automatically. So to take a lot of the, let's say, hard job out of the people we are having in the customer care, and outsource that to the machines, which can do at amazing speed, with the amazing precision, some of the repetitive tasks the people are doing, and the people can then focus on really solving the problems.
Thank you. Niall, back to you. So AI is considered an absolute necessity for modern digital networks and services, so that they can optimize all elements of service provision. Do you think many operators see the adoption of smart ops as the first step towards this zero-touch automation?
Absolutely. I think Jakob said it himself there. I mean, the use case he described was around the proactive determination of an event and the effect of the event on the end customer experience. That's the key. That's obviously the key for every operator. That's just their customer experience is vital. And so, I mean, our strategy around NetUps is to blend with the AI ops that comes from the infra players, the hyperscalers, and to be able to take the methodology where we look at extracting and ingesting data from every type of network function, from the radio through the transport layers through the core, and blending all of that into a large data lake type storage, and then to push that up into the sort of NetUps tooling that we would see, which will do the predictive maintenance, it'll do the anomaly detection, cross-platform event correlation. It'll blend alerts so that if you got multiple alerts coming off the system, they'll blend the alerts together in an intelligent way, so that the root cause of the problem can be determined very quickly. And that goes back to Jakob's point around the use case where the customer rings in, has a problem. You go back to a date stamp on that, and then you can see the events have been correlated. You know exactly what was happening at the network at the time. There could be an anomaly detection or something like that, but at least you've got a reason back to the customer. You've got a reason as to what the problem was, and then you can determine how best to avoid that in the future. But all of the automation strategies, from the RPA through to the event correlation, through to the anomaly detection, using various forms of AI and ML strategies, will help move towards the zero-touch knock-end goal, the holy grail of where you want to get to. Will we get there? It's a very complex set of network access, network types, and network functions, coupled with the multitude of devices that are going to hit these networks to get to that point. But the 5G standard architecture with closed loop analytics and all the capabilities there will start to move towards that. So everything has the potential to move towards that, and it certainly will improve the overall end-to-end engagement with the end customer and the customer experience, and that is key for revenue growth in the future and for where we need to get to. So I think we have the strategy to get there. It's now it's a work together across different hyperscalers for the move to the cloud, the network function provider, and and Jakob and his team, and how they want to get there, and that's what's key next.
Okay, so Jakob, let's talk a little bit about cognitive intelligence, which I think is generally seen as being essential to the idea of automation and closed-loop responses. So the system receives predictive intelligence, assimilates it, makes an assessment of the correct action to take. And that cognitive operation, it involves synthesizing data from various information sources while weighing context and desired outcomes to get the right response. And I'm just wondering how much, or have you seen implementations of this kind of cognitive intelligence as part of the AI implementation for automation?
So it has been said, we are not there yet. So you can see some of the examples already in place. I've been referring to the cases with the customer care, where we are able, for example, for our TV service to cover several, let's say, automated corrective actions already. But I would call that still that we are having the junior colleagues. And I do believe that they will become senior experts as the times goes and as we start to know the data better, and as the industry is providing the better tools, so that let's say ultimate goal of the closed loop zero touch network is somewhere there, and we are all moving that direction. But and I would say that's great that we are doing that step by step and getting used to that, building from where we see the most of the value, meaning supporting of the quality of the services, and bringing, let's say, use case by use case one at a time, because trying to create that all to really come up with the system which is able to solve everything usually could end up with a disaster, having nothing. So for me personally, that kind of the agile approach, really selecting the individual use cases and bringing them, is the better way how to do that.
Anton, did you have something to say there, or did I imagine it?
No, well, I can definitely add. So I think first of all we need to take step by step, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't try kind of eat elephant in one bite. It's going to be absolutely impossible. We when we're thinking what needs to be addressed, obviously we need to work with operators, with Jakub, for example, and understand if we, for example, try to what are by Pareto principles, what are those 10 or maybe 20%, right, which we automate. Let's invest into them. Let's not try to invest the rest, but we will remove a lot of routine actions. We will remove opportunity for the mistakes which human do. We will remove whatever you do monotonically trying to fix the problems in customer care. But if it can be done easily, let's automate it. If it cannot be done easily through automation or like it's too expensive, maybe right now it's not the right time. Let's do step zero, then step one, step two, and then try to optimize. If we need to optimize, because I'm sure a lot of activities we handling today through operators, through dashboards in NOC or in SOC, they will survive. We will never automate them because or too expensive or too complex or it's just not worth. It's easier human to deal with situations where human creativity needed, and let's allocate those where creativity not needed to robots, to AI, to scripts.
So let's just look a little bit more, Anton, at that issue. So looking at a recent report by McKinsey, which was published in April, it said that leading companies are using machine learning technologies to move the needle on a broad set of performance indicators. In particular, the report noted that the impact of autonomy can be substantial, that is, taking the humans out of the loop. And it said that leading companies that employed more sophisticated AI technologies report an average service level and demand accuracy improvement of 13%. Whereas those at the early stages of their journeys typically use dashboards and see an average improvement of only 3%. So a 10% gap, basically, if you use more sophisticated AI. So how difficult is it to create the business case for automation, would you say, Anton, or do you think that it's well understood?
I think it's really difficult to create the business case for automation, and it's always been, even before 5G and 3G and 4G, because automation, analytics, AI disciplines, they affect too much. So you may have an impact, obviously, for customer experience. How are you going to address how much money you saved if you manage to increase customer experience, and if you manage to reduce churn, if you manage to increase NPS? It's always not easy to quantify. But also you have direct measurable financial impact. So, for example, if your network is deployed somewhere in the cloud, if you manage to utilize fully all cloud instances, running, you're not having, for example, 5% of CPU utilization, right? You have 80% of utilization, and it's evenly distributed across all your workloads. Then you have really good cloud utilization, and you don't waste cloud resources. Now, these disciplines also affect operationals, because we have budget for network operations, we have customer care budget, we have network planning budgets, and we impact them all. So for us and for our clients, it's always not easy to quantify exactly what are going to be $1 million. Yes, we may have ideas, but we work together on kind of traceability to understand which areas we are improving with our solutions, right? Where is the biggest impact? And we try to focus on these biggest, impact areas.
So that's the approach you take to assist operators in their efforts to invest in components like data analytics for 5G networks, that sort of assessment.
That's exactly, yes, we do. So, for example, in OpenNet, our research reviewed that basically 70% of the problems they are created by human operators who do configurational changes or some tuning or tweaking of existing system. And not because I did that mistake, because it can be a monotonic action, and you do many things, and you just decided to just by mistake you change something. So we're trying to address that element in the first place, to remove a space for the mistake, to remove opportunity of this mistake. Because obviously, as Jakub said, computer can perfectly do that type of the work. Monotonic, it does it brilliantly with no mistakes. And you may apply automated QA exercises. You may also validate the change. You may automatically validate the change you don't automatically, and you're making sure now everything runs smoothly, and you start building this trust to automation through constant loop of validation and the feedback back to your AI ML models.
So, Jakub, how much do you think operators are thinking about the greenhouse effect when they're implementing AI and automation? And what, in your view, are the particular areas of concern or benefits that they need to consider?
So, greenhouse effect, the carbon footprint, and the environmental responsibility is an important aspect of what we do as an operator. And especially nowadays, where we are introducing the new spectrums, coming with the 5G, which increase the electricity consumption, and clearly introducing of the, let's say, the massive data processing and artificial intelligence as well contributes to the resources which are needed. So, but at the end of the day, I do believe personally it will have the positive impact, because if we are enabling the cognitive intelligence or the AI in the network, we are able to do the thing and reach the optimizations we've never been able with doing that by manual intervention. So with the automation, we are able on the fly to optimize every single cell in the network if there is no traffic there. And it will directly turns into the energy saving. If you are able to turn off the network if there are no people there, it saves energy. So, and these are the things which we're not able. We are not able to reach such a benefit without really having the automation and having the AI, which is helping with that. And as I said, at the end of the day, I really do believe that it will have positive impact on the greenhouse and on the carbon emission.
Okay, so coming back, Anton, Light Reading recently stated that 70% of operators' time is devoted to the discovery and root causes of network issues. Apparently, the traditional telecom network operations and management model won't meet the requirements to ensure a smooth transition to 5G. In other words, the 5G era needs an intelligent and more automated network. Can you provide any evidence of productivity gains from AI and automation-based gains in your own experience?
Well, I see multiple questions, to be honest with you, in this question. Let me maybe address the first one. For me, the 5G, two keywords. Right. First of all, this is software and micro-based services architecture. Secondly, significant part of it is running in the cloud. It could be private cloud, it could be public cloud, it could be some instances could be on-prem, obviously. But the complexity of 5G is going to be much, much more bigger than complexity of 4G and obviously 3G and 2G. If previously we dealt with tens of thousands of the nodes, network elements, now we may deal with the millions of them. And obviously it's just going to be, for human, it's not going to be possible to manage that level of complexity. So you will need automation, right? Anyway, there is no doubt, because it just you cannot manage. Kind of second half of your question, I would say, yes, we obviously have some good evidences. There are multiple projects, not only related to my product, because I'm NWDAF, that data analytics product manager, but we also have related projects inside of Amdocs. So, and NWDAF is not there yet, right? We're just doing step 0, step 1 today. It's going to be in production in, maybe in a year or 2 years at least from now. But I can see from my colleagues that, for example, we're talking about figures like 30%, for example, of reduction of the tickets, or 50% of CapEx savings if you try to deploy stuff on cloud instead of on-prem, or we can reduce 30-40% calls to customer care, or, for example, fix problem, 2/3 of the problem within 1 hour. So we're talking about that level of complexity. If you compare it to what we had 5 or 10 years ago, where problem could be solved within days and sometimes week, right? And average, resolution time could be easily 1 week. It's significant progress. And now we're talking about further progress. And again, we're trying to address not only cost of the problem, but also we're trying to address complexity of the problem and value for end consumer at the same time.
Okay, Jakub, do you think that zero-touch automation is an achievable goal, or will there always be some element of manual intervention? And I'm thinking things change all the time as well. It's not as though you've got a fixed goal. There's constant evolution, isn't there?
I need to be clear on that. I personally do believe that the zero-touch automation is achievable. This is something which is possible. If you ask me whether we are there yet, no, we are not. We are on a journey. It will take some time, but I do believe that finally will end up there. And, I've been in the industry for quite a while. So I do know that for us, let's say the network guys, that will be quite tough to get our hands out of the steering wheel and let the machines do the part of our jobs. But as we see the use cases which are helping, we are really moving towards the target. And it will be combination of several aspects. The people needs to be ready, so there will be that kind of the mindset I was referring to. The automation tools needs to be ready, so there should be on the market, and they will come with, let's say, more advanced use cases as a part of the solutions. And the network elements has to be ready. So I've been talking about the legacy networks we are having. So even the network elements has to evolve to, let's say, turn from the command line interfaces to more the machine interfaces like APIs, to really support all that data real-time streaming, to be able to get the information from the network as quickly as possible, and in the granularity which is needed to be able to do the automation tasks. But as I said, I do believe that at the end, it will be critical. It will be more error prone as the machines do not do the mistakes.
Just maybe elaborate on this point. Like, data is there, right? It's not question of data is not available. No, there is plenty of data, but it's really crucial for all of us to understand, to prioritize the data, to understand how to action this data, to put a bridge between data and, again, actionable elements like orchestration, policy, charging, who can make decisions, who can help you to this is what data monetization is about. Because one of the challenges we have today is the data journey is long, right? It's long not in terms of the data availability from the moment when network event has happened and we react to that, but data journey in terms of I collected some data, but then what can I do with this data? How to post-process this data? How to enrich this data? How to action this data? And unfortunately, today, how it's designed in, for example, 3GPP specifications in terms of data analytics, we are talking about chaos. It's manageable chaos, all right, but majority of the tools, majority of the ways how we collect data, they are not standard. they're vendor proprietary. So each vendor, they have their own story, and you need to put a lot of efforts to integrate, this data with particular actioning points. And initiatives like NWDAF or MDAF and 3GPP Consortium, they are aimed to add more structure into this chaos, to start standardization process, to have more interoperability, to address problems with services, with ad hoc solutions, right? To have something more standard, more plug and playable, if you like.
And if I can add something to that, so with the 5G standards and the network's analytic function, that's, at least from my point of view, the first time the 3GPP is really coming with a framework for the analytics. So it's addressing that new area of the network operations that previously was not standardized at all. So and I do expect that really the more is coming in the upcoming releases, with enabling the more information coming from the network to be used by the network analytics and subsequent systems which are working with that. So we are still at the start of the journey, and really with the analytics, even the simple things can help a lot if you have a data in a pipeline, in a stream. So my favorite one is the anomaly detection, which sounds quite simple. So whenever in a particular interface or let's say counter, something goes with the anomaly, something which is not typical, then just raise the alarm, raise the hand, and ask the guy on the network operations center to take care, to look, to decide. It's not closed loop, but it's helping a lot, because we are having really tens of thousands, nor that the hundreds of thousands of individual data counters coming every single minute, and nobody is able to see them all but the machines. So that approach, that the AI is able to see whether there is something wrong with the data set, and basically showing and pointing out the suspect to someone who is doing then the manual intervention is first step, but it's helping a lot. And it's not just looking at a particular counter, particular data stream. It needs to be done in a context. So trying to figure out whether all the interfaces of the time are having the same behavior, or whether there is something wrong with that particular one. And based on that, that basically raising the alarm.
And it helps to prioritize the problems, because when you're knowing more context, when you have these automated root cause analysis, it helps you to understand what is important right now, what is the urgency, what is the impact for my subscribers. Okay, this is something I'm going to take right now. If this is less urgent, you will do that, tomorrow or something like that. Actually, it was really good point regarding NWDAF and framework and 3GPP specifications. Because I guess this is really super illustration to a very first question: what are lessons learned? So for us, a lesson learned, we understand it's early days in 3GPP specifications, right? These functions, they are not defined as we need them today, or maybe needed yesterday. But the lesson learned we should make MVP as soon as is possible. Maybe not trying to boil an ocean. Maybe we are trying to address just few particular problems, but we understand them very well. We can easily measure them, understand what is the impact of our investigations. We invested $2 million, but we know what we get back from that. But we manage the most important lessons. We managed to deliver solution as quickly as we could. As Amazon, this is in their core principles. Deliver MVP as soon as you can, get a feedback to understand the efficiency. If it's positive, let's move on. If it's not positive, let's do, educational loop and understand what needs to be changed to make it successful. Yeah?
Okay, and on the subject of hyperscalers, Niall, I'm going to give the last word to you. How do you see the future role of the hyperscalers in helping telcos to achieve zero-touch automation, or as near as we can get to it?
I think the points around zero touch and the realization, Jakob very encouragingly is yes. fully on board that we'll get there, and that is terrific. That's a really, really strong message. And it's an agile approach to it. Anton's approach is to eat the elephant bite by bite, but it's the same sort of model we're taking. But in the end, we have a low-hanging fruit on the 5G the architecture, from the VRANs to the ORANs to the RIC controllers, all the way through to the 5G network functions that are all built into a very standardized closed loop analytics that really facilitates this modern AI approach. The more complex is to bring on the old legacy network into the mix, but that can be done. We've done that in the past. We've done some simple sort of algorithm type work around diameter feeds prior to a maintenance window and where they were routed through, and then diameter feeds post a maintenance window. And then it very quickly, you can see if there is any type of anomaly behavior post that maintenance intervention. And, so we know it can be done in the 4G, 3G worlds. So we bring these worlds together, and as we get there, the agile approach based on the learnings from the hyperscalers and following the hyperscaler lead. We don't have to invent. We can follow a certain degree because they're the pioneers in this field, in this data-driven field. And if we do that, we will be successful here. We don't have to pioneer. We can follow, and we will get there in the end. And it can be very, very successful. And we can, per Jakob, reach that zero-touch knock. And that's where we want to get to.
Thank you all very much indeed. Some great insights in there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Jakob.